New developments surrounding a Pennsylvania congressman who tried to help Donald Trump overturn the 2020 election. Republican Scott Perry has been fighting to keep his cell phone data from DOJ investigators since it was confiscated by the FBI last year. But court papers released last night say the phone data shows Perry was, quote, proactive and persistent in contacting the executive branch after the election, and that he was in regular contact with then President Trump and his powerful supporters, including White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. CNN senior legal analyst Elie Honig joins us now. He's a former assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York and author of the great new book, Untouchable: How Powerful People Get Away with It. Elie, Congressman Perry has been embroiled in this legal battle for months over his cell phone records. How damning is this, do you think?
Well, Jim, Scott Perry tends to fly under the radar a little bit compared to some of his higher profile colleagues in Congress, like Kevin McCarthy, like Jim Jordan, who we know were part of the effort to overturn the election. Scott Perry was even more integral, as this judge found. And Perry mostly lost his legal argument here. He was using something called the speech or debate clause, which basically says members of Congress cannot be subpoenaed, but only about their legislative work. And the judge basically said the vast majority of what was in Scott Perry's phone does not qualify for protection. A very small slice does. So he's now going to have that information available to investigators, and he's going to have to answer questions.
Fascinating. And let's turn to Georgia, because I mean, as you and I've talked about so many times, I mean, this is the case that worries some of the Trump folks on that team. A judge who oversaw the Georgia grand jury investigating efforts by Trump and his allies to overturn the 2020 election is clarifying what jurors can and cannot say. Not surprisingly, the judge told them they cannot discuss deliberations, but that they're free to talk about the final report. This comes after the foreperson, and I know you talked about this earlier this past week, went on this media blitz and said all sorts of things. Let's listen to that and refresh our memory on that.
We definitely heard a lot about former President Trump, and we definitely discussed him a lot in the room. And I will say that when this list comes out, there are no major plot twists waiting for you.
Now, Elie, I know that you were wincing over this, and lots of other folks were uncomfortable with what this foreperson was saying, and that she was out there just maybe enjoying it a little too much. Your sense of it now after digesting this for a few days, and I mean, what do you make of some of Trump's attorneys just sort of, you know, almost the sky is falling, acting as though this just, you know, blows to smithereens the whole case? I mean, isn't that stretching things as well?
I do think that's a stretch, Jim. I do not think this destroys the whole case, but it's bad for prosecutors. It's an unnecessary headache for prosecutors. It certainly is going to result in a motion to dismiss if there's ever an indictment by Trump's attorneys, which I don't think is likely to succeed. But why have to deal with this as prosecutors? Now, the judge clarified correctly that the flashpoint here is whether this grand juror got into, quote, deliberations. And the judge actually passed when asked, do you think she crossed that line? He sort of said, well, that's not for me. It's a close call. I mean, just in that clip, we heard the grand juror say, we talked about him in the grand jury room, meaning Donald Trump. Well, one could interpret that as deliberations. What is the grand jury talking about? She also mentioned certain other specific witnesses by name. She told us what the grand jury made of them. She said, for example, we found Cassidy Hutchinson credible. We found Mark Meadows less credible. And so the argument is going to be that that crossed the line into talking about deliberations. That said, Jim, it's important to keep in mind, she's part of a special grand jury. This is not the grand jury that can indict. They're just providing sort of advisory opinions. And so that may ultimately make a difference in favor of the prosecutors here.
Right. And there would still have to be a jury that would decide a case. If the former president were indicted, a jury would decide that case. Not this jury, different jury. Just very quickly, just to button up CNN reporting on the box of documents that turned up at Mar-a-Lago. Your sense of that latest development? The Department of Justice wants to know how this other box just turned up after these other searches.
Yeah, two big questions. How did it get away from Mar-a-Lago while the search was happening and then find its way back there after? The other thing that jumped out to me from the reporting, Jim, is that we now know that some aide was uploading some of those classified materials to a computer or a laptop. I mean, if I'm a prosecutor, I need to know who gave the idea to do that, who gave the instruction to do that, why, and what was done with those documents. So really important questions here for prosecutors to dig into.
Lots of questions. They're busy down there investigating this case. All
Yeah.
right, Ellie Honig, thanks as always. We appreciate it.